Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the third meetup. And we are dedicating today our legal tech meetup for big data analytics, and how it is connected with law. What lawyers, what kind of benefits lawyers can gain from analytics and big data, of using new technologies, new tools. And I'm going to say that we have also Wi-Fi here, and this is the code. If you wanna, you can use. What else to say about privacy notes? So this event is recorded and photographed. So if you don't want to be recorded, so maybe you could hide your face or to go somewhere to sit in that corner. So we still are expecting some people to come here. We had a registration of 40 persons, and about half of them just came. But let's hope that today, because of weather and traffic conditions, some will be late and will join us later. So, do you have any questions about privacy? Yeah? Okay. So, I understand that everybody agrees that we will be shooted by professional cameraman and operator. Yeah? Okay. Do you agree?
No, you promised to Photoshop afterwards.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we will share the photos and video. So video also is broadcasted to YouTube, but later we will upload more professional video about 1 week. Okay, so I would like to thank first of all for Excel Legal and Underlaw, which are supporting this meetup, and without them, this meetup wouldn't happen. I also like to thank Mykolas Romeris University and Law School of Mykolas Romeris University, which are actually giving us possibility to have such kind of events, and I hope little by little more community will join these events, and the stronger and bigger we will become, and not too much independent from one or another institution, but still we are looking for funding solutions. So if you know anyone who want to be like founders of this event, wanna support us, so please let us know. And today the topic is how cloud computing and AI-driven big data analytics is changing legal industry. So agenda, it is not changed. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the freezing button was pressed. So agenda, we will have not change, and we hope to finish by 8:30 or 9, if we will have very long discussion. So I want to thank for our guests. So first of all, let me introduce Paulius Astromskis, Dr. Paulius Astromskis, who is a lawyer, attorney in law, also founder of Future Lab, also he is vice dean of Vilnius Magnus University Law Faculty, and he's vice dean for digitization And also, as you know, you also a PhD student in Barcelona, yes. Okay, so I'm very happy to see you, and because I know you about 1 year more or less. Yeah. So we met first time, I remember in Mašvydas library. So yeah, we know already quite well each other, and Paulius, why it is interesting for legal tech community, he also is a scholar in this domain, and already he has published some publications. Yeah. And today he's willing to share his views about how technology is changing legal domain. Yeah. Maybe you can explain more. And another guest, which I'm very happy to see here. And, the idea of this topic was developed by Aidas Kavaliauskas. So he is, you live in Kaunas, yes?
Yeah. Time to time, yes.
Yeah, time to time. So he lives everywhere, in Kaunas, and you are traveling a lot, working with Germany, with Ireland, if I know well, yeah.
Yeah, we have company in Ireland.
Yeah. So he's quite a well-known person in IT sector, and also we could nominate him as a first legal tech startup owner in Lithuania. Can we nominate you as the first? So I'm really very happy to see you, but also it doesn't mean that they just started to work. So you are working with your product already 7 or 8 years? Yeah.
More than 10 years.
Oh, more than 10. So actually a very experienced person. And he will share his success story, and he will explain the product. Also, he is founding everything what you see here, coffee and sweets. So thanks a lot again for him, and I hope that we will have a nice partnership in the future. Okay, we will continue. So I will explain, remember you a little bit about legal tech meetups, how it started. It started in the beginning of this year of studies in September in 2018, and we introduced the topic how chatbots is changing legal environment. And it was quite crowded, and we got really good feedbacks from even from France, Elsa. Then we organized the legal hackathon, where teams were developing chatbots, and yeah, there you can see some. Maybe some of you are here. Have some of you participated? Yeah, one. Okay, so it was like mini hackathon. We had some teams which won, but actually all ideas was quite interesting, and jury, which in jury we can see that there are attorneys in law, judge of Supreme Court, lawyers from Telia company, and so on. So actually they had very long discussion, about 1 hour, because the decision to make and to choose which is the best, which team is the strongest one, was very difficult. So anyway, the potential of all teams was very high, and what is good that later one team which won second place, that team participated, and one girl from the team went to international competition of IBM and have won also some prizes. And there you can see that she was partnered with a party organized by IBM. So yeah, we are very happy, and IBM also says that they like us. What else? We organized gamification meetup. So it was dedicated how gamification can change legal domain. And already in Lithuania, we have some examples of gamification in governmental sector. So our tax agency is playing one game where like citizens can win in lottery some prizes. And the idea of the game is to ensure that people that shadow economy wasn't so great as it is now in Lithuania. And we had developed in workshops quite nice ideas, and students, they were participating in teams, and they had developed some ideas how to change the way how drivers are driving, but how to make it like a game and to support traffic rules and no violations. And already, maybe a few weeks ago, we saw that from US already the strongest universities, they are developing already such kind of games. So the ideas, they were developed on October, and already they are developed in another continent. So anyway, we need not only to talk, but also to do stuff. Yeah, not only to generate ideas, but also to develop the ideas. So that's why those meetups are organized, and that's why we hope that you will engage each other, like lawyers, businessmen, computer scientists, practitioners, and so on, and you will develop and start out an idea. So that's why we are organizing this meetup. And yeah, we organize also meetup dedicated to privacy, and it was quite crowded. And yeah, we're also participating and spreading legal tech idea everywhere where we can, in exhibitions, going to schools. And also we asked you what topics are quite interesting for you. So programming, artificial intelligence, legislative drafting, artificial intelligence components. Yeah, so we are planning to do that. And this today, this topic also is a bit connected to a little bit connected to artificial intelligence, let's say because analytics of data needs some intelligent tools. Yeah, everything you can find in YouTube channel, so please follow the YouTube channel. And also we are looking for those who wanna have practice in Legal Tech Center. So I'm happy that a girl which made the registration and helps. So she came from Turkey to make practice here. So also I'm receiving from other European countries requests, and people want to come just do PhD and develop their research in Legal Tech Center. So I see the bright future, and also there you can see some commercial of already we are starting from this September the Legal Tech Master Studies. So if you wanna to improve your skills, so please join it. Okay, so let's go back to the topic, and I want to open this topic with very famous quote. maybe you remember what is the most famous quotation about big data in general.
If you touch a data, you know it will confess.
Could be. I know more popular one, especially. Sorry.
Data is new oil.
Yeah, data is new oil, but data is new oil. I think we could say about a lot of things. Also, open data. The open data is a new oil, but this is specific, dedicated to big data. Yeah.
A new quote I've heard recently was, "Big data is now just data," because of the progress.
Just data. Wow. Yeah. In Internet of Everything age, I don't know. How do you feel? Is it the right quotation? Is it just data?
In terms of being no longer big, because the technology progresses in a pace where a terabyte is not the same as it was 10 years ago.
Maybe. I don't buy that idea, but yeah, we can discuss it. Okay, actually, this is in 2013 was said that big data is like teenage sex. Everyone talks about it. Nobody really knows how to do it. Everyone thinks everyone else is doing it. So everyone claims they are doing it. So actually, that quotation was replicated in a lot of really presentations. It's very famous. But I think we can ask what quotation, is it like true or not? Can we agree with that? To our next speakers. So maybe Aidas will talk more how he is using his, let's say, tool, his knowledge to help lawyers to work with a big amount of data. Yes. And Paulius, maybe he can explain us, how the technology is changing the law. Okay. So please welcome Paulius.
Thank you for introduction, and hello everyone. I see some familiar faces. I just for a quick question, how many non-lawyers are in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Most of the crowd are lawyers. So for a non-lawyers, if you will get stuck with some terms you don't understand, just raise your hand or give me whatever signal. I will come back and try to explain. But I hope that will not be a case. Anyway, it is very nice being here. I've been the first time I stood up with before the auditorium with law and tech topic was maybe 7 or 6 years ago, and I was promoting the idea of law without the lawyers, saying that, well, technology is obviously more efficient, is less capable of making mistakes. At least that what I was thinking 7 years ago. But anyways, the history of my interest in law and tech is not new, and the PhD in Barcelona, it's my second PhD. It's basically dedicated to that topic, and also at Vytautas Magnus University we are doing some researches talking with students. The Future Law Lab we have started as a undergraduate research center, is also dedicated to tech and law issues. Therefore, my idea of being here today and speak to you is to share some ideas or some insights I have gathered through all these years on a topic that was kind of given to me, but I was not challenging, or I wasn't trying to change the topic, because it is directly on a point. What I would today, I would most probably change the word adoption into the readiness. According to what I will be speaking of, the idea and the general topic, general question I will try to answer or bring to more questions is: are lawyers ready for the technological invasion, basically? So, anyways, for a background, we all know that we live in a fourth industrial revolution. That's basically the old news, or not the fake ones, maybe old ones. But the technological invasion that came to our mainstream topics comes in two ways. When we speak about the legal industry and the legal practice. So first of all, the technology basically changing everything that surrounds us. Right? It is everywhere. It is changing all industries. The speed of breakthroughs simply don't have any historical precedent. The speed, the velocity, the impact, the breadth and depth of these changes are changing relationships between people, between companies, between countries, and the changing relationships which has no historical precedent, has no playbook. It means that in response to these changes in behavior, in relationship between different actors, the law has to answer the inquiry whether we can allow such behavior, whether we can allow such interactions. So there's a deep need of new legal regulations. There's a deep need of new legal knowledge in terms of technology law. So this is one domain which kind of challenges the legal thinking, is how to regulate the technological breakthroughs. And of course, the second domain, the second side of the challenges comes to the legal practice. I'm also a practitioner. I'm practicing law, and I may be, presenting the business side of a legal tech, but I will be leaving that to the further discussions with others. I will talk about it too, but not from a business, more from an academic side. So the business of law is also changing, and changing a lot. However, as famous Susskind put it, in truth, the working practices of lawyers and judges have not changed much since the times of Charles Dickens, and in most of the ways he is basically right. So the challenges of the legal professions are also a big side of a tech impact. So we have these two sides which I will dedicate my speech today. First side is on tech law, another side is on legal tech. Both of these sides forms the law and tech environment, and based on these two sides, I will try to challenge you and try to get your feedbacks on whether lawyers, you are ready for these changes. So let's speak a little bit about tech law. before going deeper into the tech domain, when we speak about legal system, the classical or very simplified ontology of law drives from has three basic domains. We have this constitutional spirits, we have the moral ground or principles, the general values of a society which are commonly recognized and comes from a cultural experiences, etc. So these are the values or moral domain of the law, which impacts the behavior and our relationships. These values or constitutional spirits later transforms into one or another rule. In terms of a rule domain, it basically, once again, a very much simplified version can be said that rules comes in lawmaking and law enforcement parts. But this is the place of judges, of policemen, of lawyers, everyone who's printing or enforcing the laws as we know them. And of course, the actual behavior of actors, people, companies, countries, etc. So these also have two domains, actions and tools for these actions as an object of analysis. Now, going further, what technological revolution brought to us is a fourth element of analysis. This is, of course, can be discussed or debated, but I think it should be separated and analyzed as a fourth element of the legal system. That is all the IT artifacts, which is AI and robotics. All the big data issues, all the AI issues, etc. May be separated from all the three domains and analyzed a bit separately. Well, at least for the purposes of this meeting, let's talk about it as a separate domain. Having this general framework, the scholars or science fictionists predicts two future scenarios. First scenario is conservative, saying that AI and robots and all the IT artifacts, all the technologies will always be simply a tools for us. Maybe, very smart tools, maybe they will be, smarter and smarter, but they will still be a tools. Sophisticated, but tools, nothing more. So, yeah, that's one of the possible scenarios. And of course, many legal issues, interesting and challenging also emerges here in terms of consumer safety, fake news, cybersecurity. These are all no playbook virgin area for lawyers in most of the times. But the second scenario comes with a proposition in support, of course, of currently maybe 2 years European Parliament recognition or recommendation for European Commission at least consider the legal personality granting for AI systems. And this future scenario says that, well, artificial intelligence systems and robots will be capable to bear responsibility and make good any damage they may cause, and make autonomous decisions and interact with third parties independently. In other ways, this is a wording of European Parliament, which has a lot of pros and cons in legal literature, maybe a little bit of science fiction, of course, but another scenario is possible that we will have a third type of personalities amongst people and corporations. We will have some type of another personhood. So both these scenarios brings some challenges to all three domains of the legal system, right? So let's take a quick look. In terms of values, we have a developing field of machine morality, which basically asks, well, what is a moral machine and how we can build a moral machine, which would preserve all the inherent values, all the moral values, and would act in terms of a moral code, so to speak. So this is, of course, a philosophical debate, and very there is no unanimous opinion on it. But still, there's a new legal field, philosophical field, which will have to be discussed in order to make a good regulation. Then we have emerging field of machine behavior or machine psychology, right? All the black box of AI, all the need of explaining themselves, the AI algorithms who's making some decisions, all the AI biases, the problem of AI bias, and all other behavioral aspects of IT artifacts basically comes as a new field of legal research and practice. We need to know how the machines behave in order to regulate them. And of course, what maybe is of the most interesting for you is machine justice, as I call it. But here's the question: is what is the limits of legal automation? Right? How much of justice, how much of rulemaking we can assign to the machines? How can we measure if machine justice is more efficient as a human justice? How can we even compare these things or apply to the general public? So these three domains for the lawyers, and these changes which might be, say, okay, the machine morality, that's a job of philosophers. That's not for us. We are lawyers, we do the law, not philosophy, right? The machine psychology, that's for all those who study psychology. That's not the lawyers. The lawyers do law, it's nothing with psychology, right? Machine justice, well, this is a little bit of lawyers, but well, still, it's probably IT domain, right? But this is, that point of view is fundamentally wrong, because in order to say what laws should be built into the machines, we have to know how to quantify the moral, the constitutional spirits. These constitutional spirits, it has to be somehow quantified, and it has to be by legal system demanded to be built into the machines. So in terms of mandatory requirement, the ethical chip is basically a legal or should be legal or statutory requirement to build into the sophisticated or most sophisticated machines in order not to violate the fundamental values of a society, in order not to violate the constitutional spirits of a society. Then we have behavioral aspects, which once again relates to the questions what laws should be given on the machine behavior. How can we regulate the machine behavior? What is prohibited for the machine use, or what can be allowed, and how can we control these things? How can we punish them for wrongful behavior? Right. So these laws on machines are also clearly a legal domain. And of course, with laws by machines, these are the limits of legal automation issue, which clearly is a legal domain. Now, having this said, question is for the lawyers and IT guys. Can IT guys build laws, build the legal domain? Most probably not. Those who construct machines most probably will not have enough legal knowledge on the values, on the constitution, not enough knowledge on a psychology of the machines, not enough knowledge on a regular rule making and rule enforcement. So those who are building these machines most probably will not be capable of making a good laws for the in machines, on machines, or by machines. But that's, once again, most of us are lawyers, that's IT problem, right? That's not our problem. But the question is then, can we as a lawyers build these laws without knowing how the machines work? I mean, can we as a lawyers make a good regulation without a deep understanding how the machines work? Most probably not. Well, that's a wild guess. I'm in a tech, or I'm interested in a tech, but I still don't know how big should be the data in order for that to be a big data. I mean, how the underworld the code works. And I simply don't have such knowledge because I was not trained on such knowledge. Right? So I will come up with with education, some education stuff, but most probably neither IT guys, neither lawyers can build the new regulation for the new world of the technologies. Having it said, the final question, maybe one of those science fiction. Well, what is the most sophisticated machines? Is that a person? Is that a thing? This is the question scholars ask, and the European Parliament have asked for the European Commission to look at, and this one is a tough one. Is most sophisticated, and the systems which have more intelligence or more clever than people, are they still tools? Are they still property owned, or is that property owners? Should we give proprietary rights to the most sophisticated machines who can act autonomously, who can pay the damages, and who's smarter than us? Or is that still as slaves? Or should we give a free will and a free decision to those machines? Can we allow the most sophisticated machines to pursue happiness or pursue some own tasks, or is that some terra nova? So these are, of course, a little bit of science fiction. I agree, but these are the questions for our lawyers. The overall observation of a tech law domain basically brings me to the huge problem lawyers have. I mean, there's no playbook to explain these things. The history has no precedent of these things. There is no precedent in legal history which we could, open a book, a smart book, or many books, and answer these questions, especially without technology. So this is a virgin territory, and lawyers will have to get creative. Well, the lawyers will be ones who will have to answer these things. So the questions I'm asking myself for a number of years already, whether current lawyers who are in a market where legislators, judges, prosecutors, law schools, law students, me, myself, am I tech literate enough to answer these questions? Do the lawyers understand technology enough to answer these questions? And every time I'm bringing these questions up, so far I met only a number of lawyers, very, very few who can say, well, yeah, I'm a tech literate lawyer and I can answer these questions. Most of the lawyers can't. It's, of course, there's a little bit of time frame for it, but the messages are that we need lawyers to get tech literate as soon as possible. We have to include the tech curriculum into the legal education, into the requirements of bar associations, and etc. We need, as any lawyer who's willing to be competitive in the global world needs to know English at least a little bit, right? So it's the same with technology knowledge. It's a new English, it's a new calculator, it's a new computer instead of handwriting. That should be a must, but I will talk about it a little bit more later. Let's look at the legal tech domain, and of course the main driver of the legal tech movement is justice users or clients for the law firms, and the problem, well, not the problem, but natural state of justice users is that we need justice or legal advice or some legal documents faster, cheaper, and much more. Right? I'm a practitioner, and I know this from a very practical serving of the clients. They need that you read the balance sheet. They need the complex solutions for the complex problems. We need it fast and we need it cheap. And most of these expectations are simply beyond the human possibilities. But that's a problem, that human possibilities are very limited. Right? And humans are expensive, humans are slow, and human makes mistakes. And human cannot know, the lawyer cannot know all the subjects. Maybe finance lawyers know very good finance, or medical lawyers know medical, but if you take some, let's say you're building the hospital, most probably the single lawyer will not know construction, medical compliance requirements, GDPR requirements, and all the contracts and all the things very deep, right? It's simply not impossible. So, and the expectations are, I can't say they are unreasonable. It's simply that, especially from a young clients and Generation Z clients, they simply grew up with this fast results. It's when you speak of some elderly or clients who have started their business and matured in the Soviet Union, they got used and they lived in the very slower markets, and then they got used to the slow decisions and slow procedures. Gen Z is completely different. I mean, currently you can a little bit balance, but in 10 or 20 years that will be simply impossible to do. So the single solution to the client needs is to involve the technology into the law. So last year was something amazing for a legal tech. This is an article from Forbes, and they calculated that there was a 13% growth of investments into the legal tech. And this is more than crypto did in 2018, right? So this is more than weed legalization did for these industries. These are pretty impressive numbers. And what message it sends? Of course, the growth in dollars or in amount of dollars maybe is even not comparable to the health tech industries or fintech industries, but still it's the message is such growth sends to the market and to the lawyers that legal tech industry have attracted the investors' attention, which means that investors see a lot of business opportunities in the new tools. They are willing to invest. We are willing to build up on these tools, and what that means to the lawyers is that we are getting a pretty good competition very soon, because the tools are coming. The tools are being financed, and the tools are coming. So it's I remember not very long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I've been speaking to what I assumed my age intelligent lawyer was talking about the tech and legal practice and all these things, and we joked it, and he said, "Nah, that's 50 years in advance. That's I will be already long gone before that will come." But well, I wouldn't be that optimistic anymore. So legal tech and tech tools are coming, and there are of course some very nice classifiers and databases for legal startups. AngelList, Stanford University brought up, and very recently Legal Geek community brought up the legal tech startup map. And the numbers are impressive. The industries for legal tech solutions are very vast, and basically they are attacking everything that lawyers do. I mean everything. From managing the business, the recruiting of people, financing of operations, attracting clients, all the marketplace building, we already have the tools for that. For managing and performing work, the knowledge management matters, risk management, rights management, all of these are already tooled up. The work performing, even the document creation, the contract creation, self-compliance, the tools, litigation tools, outcome prediction tools, all the transaction process management tools, consumer service, even the chatbots who are giving the simple advices, but they are already there. I mean, everything that lawyers do is being tech up, it's being tooled up, and the tools are cheaper, faster, and can bring results in a wider scope. So these are some cool or creepy for ones who are ready. It's cool. For ones who are not ready, it's creepy, right? In following the legal tech boom, as I may say, comes the legal standards for legal services, and these of course are American examples, and we can see, well, this is only in America. It's not for us. It's only, only Americans can do that. But if you think enough, it's not really far away from a reasonable practice. In 2012, a judge in one of the federal cases in US gave also very well quoted opinion that computer-assisted reviews appears to be better than the available alternatives, basically aiming at the human review process, and thus should be used in appropriate cases. Which means, from a legal practitioner point of view, if you have that appropriate case and you do the handwork in legal research or legal review, you are basically not doing your job properly, which is, if anyone and client will show that the tools were available to you, that might mean the ethical challenge, especially if you will bill for that handwork thing, when the better alternatives were available for you. And that came up with a factual case and determination, and in a very recent case. I wasn't able to find the case, but the article is maybe a month old, where the judge penalized lawyers for not using AI, but that was not an actual penalty given. The lawyers presented the billing cost to the judge, asking for repayment of the cost in a winning case, and a lot of job there was done manually, and a lot of hours were built on a manual work, and the judge said, no, 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 no. The thing you did manually, with the help of tools, you could be done a lot of much more efficiently, which means that that extra hours shouldn't be billed to the client. So basically that was kind of a penalty, but this is a very clear signal that, look, doing manual work when you have tools available and billing that work is illegal. You cannot ask for the cost of that work which you did inefficiently. And when you think about it, a bit deeper, that makes a lot of sense. If you overcharge your client and you are not using the tools which are available, so you basically are doing that a bit, maybe not illegal, but unethical thing in terms of your client. So these are important follow-ups, and in 2016, German scholars from Bucerius Law School, the private law school, which basically has a deep attention to the law and tech domain, did a research on how legal technology will change the business of law, and they proved it's not science fiction. It is backed with a proof, empirical proof that the law firms are changing their structures based on the tools that are available. This is today's pyramid structure, which for most of the lawyers who are working in a law firms are very well known. All the startups, starting lawyer starts as a junior lawyers. They work a little bit. They go up a lot, to some senior positions. And if you work long enough and you do the good job and you earn a lot of money to the partners, you maybe one day you will become partner. This is a typical pyramid of a typical law school. This is changing in a way, from a pyramid structure to the rocket structure, where you have experts in the middle, only lawyers who are experts in some fields, and you have supporting elements of legal managers, the project managers who are trained on a legal projects, the managing support, and the technicians, the tech managing support, the legal tech managers. So the experts, managers, and technicians. This is the tomorrow's structure of a typical law firm. What that means is the low ratio of junior lawyers. I mean, if the machine can do the job, why should I pay to some lawyer who just graduated and who can do the same work that machine does? I mean, I would be happy to have one good machine. I would fire up 4 or 5 of my associates tomorrow. I mean, because they cost a lot, and they take the space, and they always unhappy with the law and with the work I'm giving to them, always demanding for more money. I mean, that's if I would have a machine who replaces 5 lawyers, I would be very happy as an owner. I mean, that's a mentality of the owners, and this is logical. This is economical. This is reasonable. Of course, this is a bad news for the junior lawyers.
May I ask the question now, or should I ask the question later after the presentation?
Yeah, go on.
Just a quick question about this structure. Don't you think that such mindset, when you are not supported by the ideas to have any junior lawyers, is short-minded? Since due to the fact that if you don't have junior lawyers now, you would not have any senior lawyers later or partners later. I think that's possible.
This is I will come up with education domain very shortly. But my idea is that law schools should deliver to the market the experts of the law, not the juniors, the experts of the law. So it means that, of course, there is a time frame and practice, and everyone who starts practice needs to do their way. There will still be some kind of a pyramid inside of that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you cannot go from a law school very tech literate and very expert, let's say, on the law of the seas. You go to some law firm and say, I'm already ready to be a partner. That's simply illusion. But what the law schools teaches us today, all the learning by heart the civil code and analyzing the law practice, this is a job of machine. I mean, and with a change of business structure, of business practices, together with the demands of the tech law domain, of the legal system domain, we are coming up to the very important issue of how should we structure the law studies in order to bring out to the market the lawyers who are ready for the tech world, who are creative enough to answer the questions required by the legal system, and who are ready to participate in the labor market with legal tech and legal managers on a side, who are ready to be the experts in some field. Because the lawyering starts from the very first day you enter into the law school. It's not after the graduation. It's when you enter in the law school, you're basically a lawyer. That's it. You are making the contacts, you're making the friends, you're doing the researches, you start your education in a law school. And today, the lawyers, at least in our country, 50% of them are simply not ready even to do the junior job. I mean, this is my observation as a practitioner. So, in terms of a law and tech study, I will just present. We just finished, and thanks for the date, for the change of the date. Few weeks ago, I wouldn't still have these results. We have finished the pilot study last week, and we looked at what basically we are looking at in this research. What do the best universities in Europe do in terms of educating our lawyers? So, of course, this is a part of a bigger research. We are doing the research on a future. The future of legal education, basically trying to build up the most optimal and based on the best practices law program for our studies. And we did some pilot researches, some discussions with some surveys, some comparative analysis, and this stage of research. We have asked what is the scope of law and tech study programs that are offered in leading universities in a high-tech EU member states. Just a simple, quick explanation. In terms of high-tech EU member states, we took only those states who are in both of the Global Innovation Index and Technological Readiness rankings. One is the Global Innovation Index is World Intellectual Property Organization, and Technological Readiness is VentureBeat. It's one of the famous tech portals. So we also included Lithuania, but they have just dropped out very quickly from the further analysis. So these countries are, as a rule of thumb, are up in a medium or up in these rankings. And having two rankings allows us to conclude that, well, these countries are tech ready enough for the analysis. And in terms of the universities, we looked at only at the universities listed listed in world university rankings. So from Lithuania, only Vilnius University makes into the rankings, but Vilnius University still don't have a program, so we also dropped out from a further analysis. So what we did, we first of all indicated the law schools in these countries. We came up with 400 universities. We then excluded the universities who don't have the law studies at all. So that left us with 248 universities who are offering legal studies to the general public. 248 universities serves 5 million students and 270,000 staff members. So this is a pretty big scope of legal education. Then we looked at the programs offered and included into the research only the programs which in the name has keywords related to the technologies or intellectual property or something at least close to the tech. So basically that left us with only with 41 universities. So what it means is from 248 universities, the best universities in the very high-tech countries, only 41 university offers the specialized program in a tech domain. So this number is low, but that suggests for us that there might be some alternative practices, and we will be looking at that as we go on. Then we of course excluded the unreadable or undisclosed programs and looked deeper into the structure of these programs. We grouped almost 600 different subjects are offered in these universities, and we have kind of ranked them by frequency of appearances in these programs. Well, we grouped them by the topicalities, and we calculated how frequent these topic groups appears in these programs, and we kind of started getting the broader picture. The groups, these are various 29 in total, but assuming that regular master program has 16 subjects in average, if you have 2-year master program with 5 subjects per semester plus a master thesis, you have 16 subjects. So we took 16 most frequent subjects as a rule of thumb, saying, well, if that's most frequent, that might be a good thing to teach for a student. And by simply the rule of thumb, we have came up with such conceptual program for tech law studies, and it's pretty pretty logical. I mean, it covers the most of the things which needs for understanding. And of course, if you go deeper into these groups, there are a lot of variations, a lot of different contexts offered by different universities. But basically, this is what the minority of Europe leading law schools are teaching their students. So from a perspective of tech law, this might be enough, but there's no legal tech in here. I mean, legal tech. The legal tech is
Second to the left.
yeah, it's over here. But in the middle between the law of the sea and law of the war. Right? So this is a legal tech, this is the informatics, this is the technology ethics. You know, when from a theoretical point of view, maybe the lawyers will be ready to answer the hard questions of regulation. But in terms of business, I mean, the tech readiness is pretty low. And only one single university, from what we have studied, the Sancerre offers a specialized one-year program in legal tech. The single university in Wales offers the specialized program in the legal tech. So this is as I was getting and thinking of these results, knowing that technology is basically invading everything we do, everything that surrounds us. I'm thinking the lawyers are far from being ready to the technologies in both of the domains, in the tech law and the legal tech, especially in the legal tech domain. So this is my general observation. Well, we are not ready for the law, and we are far from being ready. Yeah, you had a question.
Maybe later, but I just like to ask to clarify what you mean tech, and it is the same as informatics or not, because maybe it's a different term, so we can discuss later.
Yeah, we're basically looking at the technology in a broad sense. In this study, we looked for all the keywords which has the technological domain, like digital, technology, AI.
Relation with digital.
Yeah, everything which relates to the tech. When you go deeper, of course, you can classify the tech, the AI, the hard tech, the soft, and all.
At least informatics.
At least informatics. I completely agree. So it's for a finishing and wrapping up, I want to give some local context. In Lithuania, we have three law schools, and I'm very happy that all three are making steps in offering the one or other way the tech domain to the law students. Beautiful poster over here in the context of Mykolas Romeris, Vilnius University has publicized its plans. Vytautas Magnus is starting the specialization in the program. So all three universities recognized the need of the tech domain to the lawyers, and we're doing. How much of a quality will be in that these studies? Well, it depends, but at least we are doing something. And at least Lithuania is talking louder and louder about legal tech. We still have a few issues which I want to just quickly point out, which needs to be solved. First of all, we have a very complex language. And issue number one, when you take out any legal, basically any legal tech tools, one or other way comes up with the issue of the language. And the solution to that issue might be twofold. First, which comes from a European Union project, is a very beautiful thing and very good idea, the Human Language Project, to create a single language for their computers in order for them to speak their multi-languages. So basically that's a short version. So it's a very interesting project. A lot of very famous names, and they are asking European Commission for €1 billion. So that's a €1 billion solution to the maybe more billions problems. Another Lithuanian version of this language project is the Semantica project, which also is funded by our country. And already the second part of it is the first part. They build up the basic tools. They have spent like €3 million on that, and they are continuing with the same around the same budget in the medical and legal domains. So the tools are being built up. So one of the way to look at the solution of this problem is simply to teach robots and computers to speak Lithuanian. That's one point of view. You can browse the Semantica LT to see what we did and what we are planning to do. Another solution offered by also a lawyer, Robertas Jotka, he put it simply, well, let's put up a second national language, and that if we will have the Lithuanian as official and maybe English as an alternative, maybe that would solve a lot of problems related to that very complex language. That's one of the ideas which would at least allow us to use the English-based tools for the servicing legal clients. Of course, this is a bit utopic, but I'm putting the idea which doesn't cost much. It's just a signature of president on the printed paper of the law. That doesn't cost €1 billion. Right? So it's, issue number two is the data, and I wanted to finish with that issue because in the local context this is the grand one. I mean, we could even leave the language problem aside, but without having enough data to train the machines or to train lawyers how to work with that data, we simply need that data. And you cannot do that manually. You cannot download that from whatever sources, and the courts are closed. Only maybe Infolex is having some APIs, but for the general public it's closed. And when we have tried to talk about the opening the court data, at least the finished cases to train on outcome prediction algorithms to see some language nuances in our court decisions, etc. We just said, okay, you have to anonymize it. So that's, of course, we said, well, we can do that without any big problem, but then we said you can play with the data only on our computers, only in our rooms, and only in the court building, which is simply, I mean, it's just not feasible anymore. So the closed data is a big problem, and my final wish for this country, for the legal education, is to open that data at least for research purposes. I mean, you can leave businesses maybe behind, but at least start training our future lawyers on a real data, start training how to write the machine readable way, in order for the machines to be easier, to give the machines easier reading. So that's about all I wanted to say. Thank you very much, and I'm open for questions.
Short question.
And please use the
Oh,
mic,
yeah,
okay?
of course. I really like the quote you put at the very beginning about how law profession hasn't changed much since Charles Dickens' times. And my question is related to just that. The characteristic that I think a lot of law professionals relate to is the conservatism towards their profession. So how welcoming are law professionals to the innovation? We talked about readiness, but what about the willingness? Yeah,
that's a good point. I have even received that was maybe 4 years ago when I at the academic field we were having dinner with some professors, talking about that. They said, well, whatever you are smoking, you just do it less. I mean, no, it's no. We have the system, we have the laws. It's not for us to change, and that's no. So I'm completely agree that willingness is a big problem. I mean, but change. In order for change, you need to have a mindset, and once the people who are sitting in a government, the people who are sitting in the high judges, they are simply not that generation, and we are not hungry anymore. I mean it's the generations has to change, or the mindset. In order for mindset to change, you simply need one or other kind of revolution. And revolution is not coming because of the complexity of language and closed data. So at least in Lithuania, if revolution will be all around the world and Lithuania will be, in a black hole of illegal services, well, that will be another problem. So yeah, this is a problem. Willingness is a big problem.
No questions? At the moment?
I'd like to go back to the question about how law schools should produce experts. How?
Well,
Because it's the same problem in all domains, in technology, engineering, whatever. So how school could produce experts?
this is, as long as the legal studies will be based on the financing, or all education will be based on that financing model we currently have, and the task to get the more students as you can, and to keep them as long as you can, we will never be able to produce it. In order to produce the expert in certain field, you need a individualized curriculum. You need personal mentors, and you need the good financing in order to keep you studying and not looking for a job at the second semester of your first year. So it should be less students, more teachers, and the tech support, the educational technologies, learning analytics support, in order to bring the curriculum for the studies which is the most appropriate for that student. That also comes up with financing issues, that's of course, but when we are discussing about finances for the education, and I'm getting this argument, well, if we will be having less students, we will be having less money, therefore we have to solve the problem of money by getting more students. but that's not the way. I mean, the problem is money, not students. And you can bring more money into the universities from different sources. The students is only one source of the university income. The other is the teaching courses for executive, the research projects, the building of tools for the businesses. I mean, the legal text tools could be started in a legal tech center, and university could be the participant in the business of the legal tech. I mean, this is not prohibited by the law for universities to build the tools and market them. So if you think creatively enough, you can, and actively and willingness enough, you can create many different income sources to fund the lowest optimal amount of the students who are motivated, who can dedicate to their studies, and who can actually be lawyers. From my experience, and I'm teaching already 12, 13 years, 70%, 70% of the law students shouldn't be lawyers. I mean, well, maybe you can change 20% from them, you can change by working with them. I mean, there are 30% who are very dedicated and will be, perfect lawyers. There is this gap of undecided or, who just goes with the flow, and half is simply because mom and dad told them to get a diploma. So these half should be cut down. Good.
Let's talk later.
Okay, I also have one question from your own experience. So our topic is big data today, yeah? So you as a lawyer, are you using any tools in your job to analyze big amounts of data?
Excellent. I mean, that's what it's the problem with, and we are local lawyers. I mean, we are practicing in Lithuania jurisdiction, and we simply don't have a big data in order to have a question how to analyze it. I mean, we simply don't have that. Our libraries are pretty big, but it's not big enough to put some specialized mechanism of that. I mean, for the text analysis, we're using some open source documents for keyword extraction, for all the qualitative analysis of textual domains. But this is not something very special about it. But we are using LeoTech. We have clients of this gentleman. So we're using some other tools, but when it comes to the big data, well, our time cards, and we have the history of already 12 years of time cards with 6-minute slots of different persons. We were trying once to put process mining tool and run that through the process mining tool, but then the trial period expired and we just finished that because we are buying and we got very nice and interesting results for our processes we were doing, but the license costs like 3,000 or 5,000 euros, and we said, well, we don't need that, that kind of expenses to play with that data. We already know how things go. But yeah, I mean, we play with the data. We do. Just Excel is enough, and we are champions of Excel.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any more questions, or we leave questions for discussion? And now we can make a break. What do you think?
Yes.
Break?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for this. Thank you. And let's have a short break. Okay, and then we will invite Aidas to present his solution. So thanks.